it will continue unless they stop the famine that they are provoking in Gaza, the slow motion extermination of Gaza. And they're not even talking about a final political solution for Palestine. Stop the genocide, essentially. So obviously they will continue. And they go straight to the point. We are not going to back down. So you listen, basically the same thing from Yahya Sari, which is a military spokesman of Ansarallah, and the former Prime Minister, Professor Bin Haptur. So the message, politically, religiously, morally, it's the same message, and it's extremely strong. And you cannot find a hole to puncture the way they think. They totally believe in what they are doing in terms of the morally correct position. Try to explain this, Nima, to MBS or MBZ in the bloody Emirates or Saudi Arabia. They don't even know what morality is, these people, the so-called leaders of the Arab world, you know. And no wonder they are hated by both. And no wonder they are still, the Saudis would like to destroy Yemen or control everything in Yemen. Same with the Emirates. And it's very complicated because the Emirates, for instance, the island of Socotra here, south of in the Red Sea, near the Bab al-Mandeb. The Emirates practically took over Socotra. They are colonizing Socotra in a way that's going to be very hard for Yemen to recover it. And the Saudis, of course, they support a puppet government which sits in Aden, the port in the south, but basically is in a five-star hotel in Riyadh. And obviously nobody takes this government seriously, but it's the government that is supported and recognized by the Americans and the Europeans. So the country is divided. For instance, I could not get a detailed answer on how do they see the fact that the country is divided at least in three different Yemens. The bulk of Yemen, which is Sana'a, Sada Governorate, Hodeida Port in the Red Sea, etc. And it's most of the industrial commercial activity. This Aden, which they say Aden today is so boring. Nothing happens over there. People are afraid. They continue with their business, but nobody believes or trusts this puppet government controlled by the Saudis, of course. And then there's the Hadramaut region, expanding towards the desert to the east, which is enormous. It's where the Bin Laden clan comes from. A people of navigators and explorers and traders all over the planet. And this is, they explained to me, they gave the best explanation, in fact, that this is practically an autonomous region. It's the local tribes and clans and, let's say, provincial governments that control and run the Hadramaut as a whole. So it doesn't respond to Sana'a here. It doesn't respond to Aden, the puppet government. It's practically self-sufficient. So it is a country divided. So it's very, very complicated. And for this Aden regime, puppet regime to collapse is going to be very complicated, extra complications, because it means that the Saudis and the Americans and everybody else, the international financial system, whatever you want to call it, they will let it go. They won't. So here in Sana'a, they know that they offer to the world the real face of Yemen, which is based in Islam and which is based in a very ancient, sophisticated culture, and their moral rectitude. That explains why Ansarallah and the government Sana'a, especially by the young generations all over the world, with so much respect, and how they managed to conquer without a PR operation. There is a language problem, which is essential. For instance, Lebanon and Palestine were former colonial possessions. So you have a lot of English speakers. who even know how the international media landscape works. So they can at least broadcast their message in English to the whole planet, Palestinians, Lebanese. Here, everybody speaks Arabic. Very, very few speak English, and they don't know how it works. Now they are discovering how social media works, and they are very, very powerful on social media. Even if it's only in Arabic, you get instant translation in several languages. And that explains why Ansar Al and Yahya Sari now is a worldwide figure. And they don't need any of this aggressively. For instance, their position defending the Palestinians, defending the end of Gaza was a response to the genocide, but a response based on physical acts and an actual blockade of Israeli ships or Western ships going to Israel. So, and this is not going to change. They can bomb the whole of Yemen to ashes, whatever they want to do, those incapable imbeciles, which are now terrified that still Ansar Allah and the Yemeni armed forces, they control the Red Sea. This has not changed. And it's going to be very hard for the Americans to turn this around unless they eliminate all the by the way, what they're bombing, they have no bloody clue of what they're bombing because they don't have local intel here. CIA, MI6, all these clowns, they don't. So they bomb civilian buildings like they did 2 weeks ago, or they bomb installations around the Hodeida port, which and this will continue. Unfortunately, this will continue. But all this to give you the broader picture of how strong their message and their attitude is, and why they are doing this to defend Palestine, which can be instantly recognized from Bolivia to Indonesia. We have, for instance, fantastic. He works very close to Evo Fernando. Fernando is a wonderful guy. He made a speech today, absolutely extraordinary, and coming from a BRICS partner, very, very important. He's saying that we have to start promoting an intercontinental global South alliance to start our own models and stop depending from the global North models, geopolitical and geoeconomic. Brilliant. They loved it here because they understood perfectly that the struggle all across Latin America and the struggle in West Asia is basically the same. And historically, since the beginning of decolonization, has been the same and continues to be the same. So it's great to see this here as well. They pay a lot of attention to what us foreigners are saying. They answer our observations as well. As much as we are immensely more interested in what they have to say. And every time that we meet a high-ranking diplomat, a high-ranking member of the political council, or like Yahya Sari, a high-ranking military member. And, it's disarming how natural they look. And at the same time, you can feel their spiritual strengths and their moral character. It's fascinating, Nima, because this is disappearing fast all over the world.
How do they feel about Iran and the way that the United States is saying that they're Iran's proxy in this fight? Do they? How did you find it? How do they feel about Iran? How do they feel about the way that the West is picturing them as a tool used by Iranians?
Exactly. They understand perfectly that as much as they are allied with Iran and as much as they have several important interactions with Iran, they created their own. Well, geoeconomically, they have to survive, which is very, very difficult, which is a mix of, for instance, how they combat the famine inside the country, how they develop help for poor people, and militarily what they learned not only from Iran. For instance, Professor Bin Haptour was saying that the best Yemeni engineers and physicists, for instance, where did they study? USSR and China. So obviously this pays dividends, for decades. He was talking, for instance, by what they learned from the military during the time of Nasser. So people here not only they have a long memory, but they study hard, and what they learn they pass to the new generations. And of course, what they learn about modern military infrastructure, methods, and weaponry, etc., that they learned from Iran, they develop their own. Which it's fascinating because this is the sign of a sophisticated civilization. They are willing to, like China, they are willing to learn, pick up the best from people who are their sources or are willing to help, and then they develop their own system. But they don't speak explicitly about Iran. The people we spoke to, which are high level, political council, government, diplomats, etc., they talk about what Yemen is doing and how Yemen has to fight its own fight to, I wouldn't say benefit, but to at least alleviate the plight of the Palestinians. This was the driving force behind this conference. The conference is centered on Palestine. It's not centered on the axis of resistance as a whole. But every time we're talking to them, many of us, we say right away, you are at the vanguard of the axis of resistance. And they don't even have to recognize that because it's a fact. But for instance, they are always paying extreme respect to the memory of General Soleimani.